Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Candy Williams, the State Director of AARP Alabama, and you are joining us for the November episode of Plant Based Cooking with our friend Chef Kimberly McNair Brock. Just a reminder, AARP Alabama is a 501c4 organization that empowers people to choose how they live as they age. Our role is to advocate for the 50 plus and their families, and we are so glad that you're here today. And we're excited to bring on our friend Chef Kimberly McNair Brock. Chef Brock, what are we cooking today?
We are doing a vegan gazpacho. I'm gonna say chorizo. Vegan gazpacho, and with tons of bold flavors.
Yum, that sounds lovely on a November day. Well, I'm going to get out of your way because people come to see you. And let's get cooking.
Awesome. So we've got our food processor here today. That's going to be our tool. And we have some tomatoes that have already been cut up, and also cucumber, large cucumber. So I'm going to add in a little Celtic sea salt and some granulated garlic. Now, if you want to add some garlic cloves, you can. I just personally did not want to do that with this raw dish. So we still have some garlic flavor imparted there. And then I'm going to do about a half tablespoon of chili powder. Okay. And that's just going to kind of keep it red and smoky. All right. And then I'm going to put these ingredients in our food processor here. And if you want to use something like a Vitamix, you could. But we're going to leave some of the produce that we add in a little bit later chunky. So I wanted to just have the ability to do that with the food processor. And some of these tomatoes, majority of them are just raw tomatoes, but some of them are like sun-dried. So I dry them myself in the food dehydrator, but you can use sun-dried ones also. So I'm going to pulse it a little bit to get it started. And basically I'm making the brothy part of the soup. So I'm just going to run that a little bit and try to break that up as much as possible. And we're going to do a lot of tasting in between batches here. So we've got that going. All right. I'm just going to taste a little bit of this. Nice and fresh. I'm going to add our herbs to this. I've got some leaves of oregano and basil. And I'm going to just chop up some of that, put that in here. Okay. So we want to flavor it all and flavor it up as we go. And we're going to put it back in and try to chop it up as much as we can. Along with this, I'm going to add some peppers. So we've got some jalapeno here. This is probably the equivalent of a large jalapeno. I'm just going to rough chop it and add that in just so you have a little heat. If you don't like heat like that, you can definitely do half or even none. Okay. It's nice to have a little heat in something like this. And I've got red and yellow peppers, so I'm going to do about half of this and taste it, like I said, and we'll go back in and check some more. And also, I'm going to do a little bit of some celery too, just to add a little brightness to it. Okay. This is about one stalk of the celery, and some green onions too. So I'll add that in. Because we didn't add any onions in that, so we got to add some onions. All right. So that's peppers, some green onions, and I've got some yellow onions that have kind of been sliced up, so I'm going to add those in here. This is about a quarter of an onion. All right. gonna add a little avocado oil just to give it a round mouthfeel. Maybe about 2 tablespoons of that. Okay. All right, taste it. Put this on my spoon. It's really good. Everything's kind of coming together, y'all. I'm gonna add a little bit more of our onion. I can taste that heat from the jalapeno. And that's really nice. And a little bit more granulated garlic also. And when I put it in this time, I'm gonna really let it go as much as possible. Add a little more salt. And I'm gonna add some vegan Worcestershire here. If you don't want to add the Worcestershire, you can do some kind of vinegar, like a red wine vinegar or sherry vinegar would be nice also. And a little bit more of our garlic, granulated garlic. And back in. And just remember, if you do use sun-dried tomatoes, you want to either bump up your raw tomato or your cucumber because you want it to be soupy. You don't want it to be too thick. Let it go for a little bit longer. All right. And taste this. See how this is. It's really good. Now it tastes really meaty, it has a really good depth of flavor there. So to this, for some texture, we're gonna add a little zucchini to it. And I'm slicing it even though I'm putting it in here, but I'm just gonna pulse it when I get it in because you wanna have some bits of veggies popping in here. So this is about a half of a nice sized zucchini. You can do yellow squash if you want to. I'm gonna do a little bit more oil. So about 3 tablespoons total. Oh, 3 tablespoons total. Hold that. One last little taste. I think we're gonna be good to go with this, y'all. It's really, really delicious. So now if you want to add some other things to this, you have the option of adding fennel. You can add more onions, you can add yellow squash, zucchini, anything like that that you like. And also even rosemary would be really good. I would chop it up fine first, or you can use dried rosemary too. So we'll get this out of our way and plate it up. Like I said, it's a really simple recipe. Doesn't take very long. You can add acid to it if you like by way of a lime. So we're gonna put this in. It is a really good, and if you're doing it in a food processor or like a Vitamix, like a blender, the Vitamix will warm things up. And so it's almost like you will have a warmer soup. So you can just let it run longer, or really if you let it run like 90 seconds in a Vitamix, you're gonna have a warm soup. And also, did you have a question?
I'm sorry, Chef. I was just asking you, like, what's your prep time for this recipe?
So the biggest thing is to chop things up. So I would say 30 minutes to prepping, chopping it up, and then you got just what, maybe 10, 15 minutes in the food processor. That's the largest bit of time is your prep, you know. And often, how often do we say, "Oh gosh, I had those vegetables and uh, they went bad in the refrigerator"? You know, it's a good way to use up some produce at the end of our summer going into fall, but you still got some vegetables like at the farmers market that are still really nice that you can make a great soup out of. And if you wanted to heat this soup up, you could do that too. You certainly could.
And what are some fun things you would serve with this soup?
So you could do croutons, you could do a crunchy bread, crusty bread on top. Um, you can even do this almost like a dip and have some, not just crackers, but some chips, like some really heavy duty tortilla chips or something. That would be really nice. Um, it could be the centerpiece of something like crudité. You could use um, what is it, celery and some different vegetables and the peppers. Like you could keep the peppers into long strips and use that to dip. So this would be a really nice platter. You can get some vegan cheeses and put it around on a nice board like this, and just have this sort of as the centerpiece. So there are lots of things that you can do with it, and using the local tomatoes at the end of the season is just something that's really nice. And then we also have Parmesan cheese, added a little bit of that. If you want, you can do a drizzle of oil on top. So, yeah.
That looks delicious, and we are so excited. Remember, if you registered for this episode of Plant Based Cooking, you'll have the recipe in your inbox. And if not, just ping us in the comment section on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll work to get that to you. Chef Brock, we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me and letting me use some local basil that I had in my garden.
There you go. Yum. Well, we appreciate it. Well, happy November, and we will see you in December.